Welcome to another player ratings for Newcastle United, where it was the FA Cup third round. It was an absolute F-up in terms of Newcastle. We drew 1-1 with Blackburn. Let's get straight into it. It was a chance to see a bit of squad rotation. So, as many expected, including our very own Chris from the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and the Always Smiling Faces podcast, Woodman got a run out in goal instead of Dubravka. I thought he had a decent game. You know, it was considering it was a one-off from him, I guess. He looked quite brave and he didn't really have much to do with, but when he was amongst it, he seemed to get in there and he made some decent catches. There was a particularly nervy punch away where he had to deal with it from one of their corners in the first half, but you know what, fair play to the guy. 7 from Woodman. We keep saying we want to see something from him and he showed off quite well. Sterry, on the other hand, I know he's back from an injury, I know he's young, but it was a poor game considering, I mean, what, the lad's 23, and he's not really breaking into the main team, and when he does get his chance it didn't look great. He made some careless passes when he didn't need to, and he just didn't really keep Dak under control for their goal. He just kind of let him go. 4, sorry Jamie. Lejeune, I thought he had a strong 90 minutes considering he's come back from injury and he looked up for it. He did waste a bit of a free kick in the second half when we should have maybe made more of it, but you know, he was involved in the box and that's pretty rare from a centre-back, but Lejeune's tall and he was putting some balls in, and you know, Blackburn had like 10 men on the line, which was annoying, but he'll be valuable in the league. It'll be good to see Lejeune back if he stays fit. 7 for him. Share, right, he's a bit hit and miss at the minute, isn't he? Another game where he showed a few signs of panic and gave the ball away, which really frustrated the crowd, because it certainly made me go, what are you doing, man? There was a lot of hoofing the ball forward, which wasn't really working because Hosselu was non-existent. And, you know, he gave away a dangerous free kick on Graham. I know we've seen that side of Share where it's a little bit hot-headed, so he needs to be careful once again. Some unnecessary balls, really, that may have allowed Blackburn in at the back, and he didn't really do enough again to stop their goal. I know Sterry was on Dak, but Shea was just kind of going like that when it happened. You know, just deal with it, basically. There was a nice overhead kick, but still going to give him a 4. Manquillo, I thought he looked good going forward. We know about this, and he was creating a few chances. He also did really well to keep the ball off the line for Blackburn, potentially getting a second goal. And there was a few slips here and there, maybe where he was caught out in possession, but not a terrible game from Manquillo. 6 from him. Ritchie had an amazing game. The only one on that pitch who wanted it, and you know, we say this time and time again, that is the fire that kind of drives Newcastle sometimes in Matt Ritchie. I know he's not the most gifted creatively, but he certainly wants to try and win the games for the team. And the corners are much better from him. I think there were some determined shots. There was one where he took it alone and I thought, no, pass. But then he took the shot and I was like, actually, that's not too bad. So, you know, he tried to create so many chances in both halves, putting balls into Hosselu, and only if Rondon was on would I trust anyone else taking the penalty other than Ritchie. You know, it was well taken and he saved the game. Well done, Ritchie. 8. Longstaff, you know, I thought I was going to get a bit more from Longstaff in this game. He played all right against Liverpool and they are, you know, top of the Premier League, but I didn't see enough of him really in this game. He didn't really do much, which said to me, there's a good young talent coming through the squad. That being said, I'm not going to hold it against him for the rest of time. We'll see what comes of Longstaff. I think he took a bit too much time deciding what to do with the ball when he did have it, so he didn't really bring much to it. 5 for Longstaff. He came off for Perez pretty late on, 80th minute, who quite frankly changed the game. Perez came on and things started to come alive. Certainly a bit of urgency from Newcastle. Didn't set the pitch alight, but what he did do, he brought that Premier League experience where he knows how to fall over at the right time. And I know we keep criticising Perez for this in the league, but that's kind of what was needed. You needed something to maybe say, right, we're going to get a set piece. He got a free kick, he won the penalty, and that was that. 10 decent minutes from Perez, but not enough to get a rating. Hayden still looked uninterested by the time he was on the pitch, and if he could pass forward, he didn't. He passed to the side, he passed back, and if he doesn't want to play for us, then fine. But if you're on the pitch, then at least, you know, show other teams what you can offer. He probably wouldn't even made Blackburn's team with that performance, and he came off because he deserved to. Hayden, 3 from him. Shelvey came on for him and he had a much better game, provided some decent balls forward. It was a bit hit and miss, but at least he was offering more than Hayden was. There was some good balls in when no one was there, but he was constantly amongst it in the box, similar to Lejeune really. And you know, when Blackburn were getting corners, that was the only thing that Shelby kind of lacked. You noticed a little bit of that kind of stropping about from Shelby where he just didn't look bothered. That being said, you know, he did help get us over the line with the penalty and stuff, and just kind of keeping Blackburn under pressure, that is. 6 for Shelby. On to Murphy. Right, lack of confidence or just not good enough. I feel for him, I really do, because, you know, sports Newcastle, but he just isn't good enough. I think he's been thrown into the deep end far too quickly in terms of coming to the Premier League. Whether it's an oversight by Rafa, I don't know. Whether it's just grabbing someone who we could because he cost under 15 million, I'm not sure, but he looked awful all game and rightfully came off. He lost the ball, there was poor passes and he just brought nothing to it. 3 for Murphy. Atsu replaced him, who's been playing well recently, and, you know, I wanted him to bring a bit more to the game, but you know, the final 15 minutes, you thought Atsu was going to maybe create a bit. Yes, he did. He managed to get behind Blackburn a bit more than we were already, but Blackburn are a tough team to break down. You know, Championship side, it just made me realise how much I do not miss being in that league. When he got the ball, he gave you a little bit of hope, but he didn't really create too much going forward. It was just as well we got the penalty. And he managed to get some decent passes away, so fair play to Atsu. 6. Kennedy, another player who really should be tearing Blackburn apart. You know, you want to see that creative flair that the Championship just doesn't have, instead of these brutish players that Blackburn kind of brought up with them. You know, he showed a little bit of flair, but took way too long to play people in. Kennedy was never going to score, and as he approached the box, he kind of did the old, and then nothing came of it. So same old story from Kennedy. It's a shame, really, because you want to see more, and there's questions being asked about his attitude. Later in the game, he finally started to break Blackburn down, but it was too little too late. 5 for Kennedy. Hosselu had a dreadful game. Can't even use the 5 million argument in this situation because it wasn't the Premier League. When you're playing against Blackburn, you need to take the chances. Maybe his confidence is low, but how many times do we say this? 2 golden opportunities. I really hate to knock Hosselu because I think he's a good bloke, but he fluffed 2 massive chances. The first one was a little bit tougher, but the one where he was right through on goal and should have just thumped it in. You know, the keeper was not even having a blinder. It was easy saves he was making, but he's been dressed up by the BBC to have played really well against the Premier League side. No, Hosselu, 3. He was constantly getting service, but he looked slow, and maybe there was a slight injury, you know. He was limping about a bit, so he should have come off perhaps, but saving Rondon for the important games quite rightly. People were losing their minds a bit on Twitter going, oh, it's the worst I've seen him play ever, but it's an FA Cup game. We're not going to win the bloody thing, are we? And it shows just how little depth we have in that squad. It's not down to Rafa's style of play. People going, oh, well, he's playing defensive. No. That team's shite. That team is absolute garbage. And, you know, we've been left with a replay on their turf where I'd say they'll probably win. But then again, you know, we might not have the fans booing them at the end of the game. Again, young lads, guys. However, see you for another joyous ratings on this, the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel, where the guys will be back with their build-up and everything else, FIFA, and everything that we're doing. There's so much coming. Subscribe, you don't want to miss it. And yeah, like I say, see you Saturday after Chelsea when we drub them 6-0. Cheers.